Hi, everyone. So Jeff with Artnerd Society. I wanted to take a moment again to start. This will be kind of the first video in a series of a behind-the-scenes look in terms of the restructuring, the redesign, the reconceptualization of artnerdsociety.com. It's on the tail of an amazing experience, and many thanks to Gina and Audra and Jess at Mighty Networks, who, as a member of Mighty Networks, we got access to this amazing mastermind that, for me at least, has really helped bridge gaps in terms of direction, in terms of potentialities. And I wanted to kind of document this process as we go through it. It's been hugely beneficial. I have a really bad habit as a form of procrastination, or as a form of kind of succumbing to resistance, to just keep learning. If I just keep learning stuff, if I take more classes, if I read more books, if I find more templates and YouTube videos and instructional kinds of educational things, then I feel busy, I feel productive without actually implementing stuff and without actually, again, moving forward in ways that are effective and productive. So this has been really beneficial. It's been the opposite of that. So the balance of conceptual context along with the actionable kinds of things has been really, really beneficial. I think it's going to bridge a gap and fill in something, both in terms of mindset, but also in terms of the practical implementation and redesign of Artnerd Society in a way that I'm super excited about. That corresponding as well with the shift in paid groups and paid courses, for my vision at least, is a huge game changer. So I'm super excited to go through this. As part of that process, again, I just wanted to, and this video is going to be about the current status of things and maybe the history of Artnerd Society. I hope this will be useful for other people, even if they haven't launched yet, or maybe they're relaunching, or whatever stage they're in terms of their process. It's been a hugely large learning experience for me as I do this. Again, I've had a vision for this for a while. I know that there's a need, but it's a matter of bridging that gap and kind of understanding effective ways to move forward in terms of, again, community design, and also the community design within the context of a broader educational scheme. And in my case, in the case of studio art and art and design education, as well as sort of professional development and continuous education for artists, for creatives in general. So I just kind of wanted to go over the status things. This hasn't changed much since June. Again, the Artnerd Society has been pretty dead for a couple months. I actually kind of stopped working on it once the mastermind started, a little bit before that, simply because partly out of frustration, partly out of burnout. I was putting a lot of effort in. I was doing a lot of things, not as much as maybe I should have been, apparently, but and there just was no reaction. There was no engagement. The members just were doing other things, again, which becomes frustrated. I had a little bit of trickle in terms of membership. So I decided to go ahead and cut it off, do the redesign, focus on that, and then really kind of hit the ground running. The goal is to have everything in place by September 2nd, so that it's not a launch, but it's going to be a celebration of the redesign, as I kind of get my themes and my weekly structure in place and start implementing some of the live stuff. So as of now, again, we've got 88 members. I started in October of 2017. In terms of the history of art and design of Artnerd Society, it started as a Rainmaker website, which Rainmaker kind of, they're still doing stuff, and I think it's better than it was, but it was one of the situations. It was supposed to be the catch-all sort of thing for bloggers and for content developers and for community designers that was going to do everything. It was going to integrate your email services and your contents and your forums and your community stuff, and it never really got off the ground in a way that was useful to me. It basically was a very expensive blogging site for a couple of years for me, which was not great. Again, I had a vault and a bunch of resources, and it wasn't their fault. I just didn't really know what I needed. So I was kind of letting the tools dictate the design of what I was doing. But one of the biggest sort of, I thought, limitations on it was that it had a forum, but it was so dated. It was like normal forum software where there just wasn't much engagement, even though I was trying to get people to have conversations, almost like Reddit or some other kinds of forum sites. But so when I found Mighty Networks, it seemed like a really good fit in October of 2017. And I've been working on it since then. I've kind of, again, been watching the development of it, which has been really useful and productive for all kinds of reasons. So as of now, so what happened was I had about 150 members on the Rainmaker site and trying to switch them over. Some came over, some didn't. My email list was kind of, again, mostly the blog oriented, and a lot of people looking for resources. So I got some people to come over, some people didn't. Most of this 88, though, is my personal network. So it's people that I know, I've taught, I've known through grad school or just through living in Brooklyn. And it's an awesome, awesome group of people. There just hasn't been much engagement with the community, which, again, is goes back to the more fundamental or foundational kinds of structural things that I'm hoping, again, having gone through this mastermind, I can bridge. I'm not too Pollyannish about getting everybody to do it, but I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity or a lot of potential to move things even further. So the 44 of the people I invited directly, the rest of it are people that have come through, or some of that's even after I made it a public site. As of now, it is a public site open to anybody. I started with a private site and kind of experimented with public to see if I could get more people in, and it didn't really work, to be honest. I don't know why, but right now I'm definitely going to be moving back to a private site where it'll be free, but it will be private so that there'll be a little bit of walled stuff in there. And my thought on that is that I was getting some traffic in the public site, but people didn't bother to join. So again, one of the real pivotal kinds of mindset changes for me was with Jess's interview with Zach, which he hit the nail on the head. And I don't know why I didn't think of this, but people don't need another news feed. People don't need another social media site. And I was kind of approaching it as like an awesome Facebook group. Why would you do Facebook? Because Facebook sucks. And most of these members, a lot of them are super active on Instagram, super active on Facebook. And I mean, we can't compete with that. Again, those are companies and organizations that are built like digital casinos that get people to suck in and get people addicted. And there's all kinds of negative things with that. So again, what's going to differentiate this community, this place, this digital environment, this digital space from all of that? And I do think that, again, Audra and Gina and Jess covered all of this. So again, they don't need another social media site. I think that was one of the biggest struggles or one of the biggest failures that I had, is that I would even get frustrated because people would be posting on everything from their shows to their gallery shows to their process to all of these things on Facebook or on Instagram and not doing it on the site even though they were members. Again, so it wasn't a habit for them. They didn't see the benefit of it. I would even take their announcements for their gallery shows or whatever they were doing and put it on the community, and they would come onto the community because it was notified and say, hey, thanks, Jeff, for doing that. And that was kind of the end of the conversation. So again, the goal is to get them to do some of this, and not just self-promotion, but to really engage in ways. And I'm hoping that some of the changes that get made in terms of the structure, in terms of the consistency of stuff being produced that is unique, that is a combination of asynchronous and synchronous stuff, will really help move things forward. So again, that's the history of it. Again, October 2017, so it's been almost 2 years. So a lot of improvement to have, a lot of improvement to sort of manifest in itself. And I'm excited about the potential of it. So not sure if any of these other statistics really, again, it's pretty dead for now. But I'm excited too. So I know he or she is in the mastermind as well. So I appreciate you joining. So I'm super, super excited about this. Again, like I said, I'm going to take all of August. This behind the scenes stuff is going to be on the community. I'll post it in the Mighty Networks mastermind as well if it's useful for people, just to get some insight, some transparency about some of this stuff. Just as a really quick sort of tour. Basically, it's really straightforward. Again, like I said, it's a public network. I will be switching that to private, but it will be free. And the revenue eventually will come from courses and the collaborations. I switched the groups to collaborations just because I just felt it suited the vision a little bit more. And it's super flexible. That's what I love about it. I've got some little mini courses in here. These have been somewhat popular. Again, so these are free right now. They have been. I need to redesign some of this with the new structure and the new payment stuff, and the new plans. The community guide, I'm going to be totally redoing this as well. I really liked in one of the interviews, I forget who it was, with the dog training, the idea of a scavenger hunt in terms of getting people to start playing around with stuff. And I think I'll integrate that into getting the most out of it, and also integrate that into my email sequencing, which, again, a little bit extra work, but I think it'll be totally worth it in terms of getting some engagement, and it should be fun. The collaborations, which used to be groups, this is, in the past because I wanted the vision for the revenue source, or one of the channels for revenue source, was, again, paid courses. I had a course on Thinkific. I did everything you're not supposed to do. I spent a year and a half designing this thing. As a former college professor, as a former admissions administrator in a specialized art design school, I was super stubborn about it, but also was a little bit of an experiment where I wanted to take what was essentially a semester-long course, digitize it, monetize it, and Thinkific is great for what it is, and Teachable is the same, but I didn't really like their community stuff, so I basically created a subgroup. So they would pay for the Thinkific course, have access to the Portfolio Design Fundamentals subgroup in Mighty Network. Unfortunately, the course didn't sell. So again, everything that people warned you about, I spent all this time, all these resources in designing this course, which is a really fantastic course, and it was even a super huge bargain, but it was still, people didn't buy it, and part of that's not a big enough audience, but other kinds of things, but that's probably a different conversation. So the current collaboration is this. This will be expanded a lot. The collaborations will be expanded a lot. And it will also include, again, the vision for Artnerd Society is to be free in terms of the main community, and to be super accessible. It'll cost people an email to get in, but that's about it. And one of the collaborations is going to be kind of a patron system where people can it's pay what you think you got out of the community. So there'll be a couple different payment levels with that. We'll see how that goes. That'll be an experiment. That'll probably go live in a couple months. But if people believe in the vision, if people believe in the direction, if people believe in the community itself, and they are getting value from the free part of it, then it's going to pay what you will, although there'll be a little bit more structure to it. So that'll be one collaboration. I'm going to actually do a vault of resources as well, which will be a free, separate thing. I don't want the main community to just be a resource exchange, although people love that. But as Gene has talked about, it doesn't really help in terms of the community engagement, stuff like that. But there'll also be thematic collaborations, so and creative collaborations. So again, maybe we'll put together a show based on a theme. Maybe we'll put together an art book. Maybe we'll do drawings together, or projects together, or any of that. That some could be paid, some could not. This could also be a resource for book clubs and those kinds of things. So there's a lot of potentiality with the collaborations, I think. Again, courses will be a little bit more structured, and there will be a lot of courses, some paid, some not. I've experimented with Skillshare a little bit, but I'm probably going to move my Skillshare course over here. It's been pretty successful, but again, Skillshare, again, in terms of using other people's platforms, is probably not a good situation. But hopefully we'll get some people to join the community from there. So that's kind of the real quick tour. There's a lot of content here that I'm going to have to re-examine and re-audit and re-link and things like that. I've got my welcome series, the featured content, and again, some of the questions which I'm not afraid to reuse and play around with. But again, just to go back to it, I'm super thankful for the people at Mighty Networks for putting together this mastermind. It's been, I hope, a game changer for me in terms of my approach, but it's also reinvigorated me in terms of the potentiality of this stuff. And I'm super excited about it. And I'm super psyched to have some fun with this and to really allow some of these amazing people to connect with one another. And I've got, again, more ideas than time or resources in terms of how to do that. But it's nice to have that framework. It's nice to have that again, constraint in a good way, of not feeling like I have to do everything in the first month, which is what I tend to do, or not have everything perfect before I start implementing things, which has always been a battle for me. So thanks. We'll continue on as I kind of document through the mastermind process and the redesign and the reiteration of this stuff. And I look forward to people's feedback, engagement, input, always welcome. So thanks again.